Boom! The raw intensity of the mad dog turned hell dog in a gripping tale of revenge, betrayal, and the thin line between justice and chaos. Meet Shogo Kanetaka, the undercover agent forced to navigate the treacherous world of Yakuza, haunted by a past drenched in mountains of blood. As the layers of deception unfold, witness the clash of loyalties, the rise of a new power, and the relentless pursuit of redemption. Can Shogo break free from the chains of his past, or is he destined to be consumed by the shadows he once embraced? Let's dive into the heart-pounding Hell Dogs. The story opens with a man barging into the private animal farm, where another man is preparing food for his animals. The stranger addresses the man as Mad Dog, and confidently tells him how he killed Akira Edogawa and Mad Dog's brother Nadi. This causes tension to rise between them, and the Mad Dog suddenly attacks the stranger. But he doesn't stand a chance as the stranger easily overpowers him. The stranger kills the man during their fight and then leaves after calling and informing the police about the murder. The stranger is Goro Itajuki, a former Japanese cop who is suffering from depression after the girl he loved was killed during a robbery gone wrong in a supermarket a decade ago. Goro oscillates his hours between drinking alcohol and breaking bones to cope with his pain and trauma. In the present, Chief Anai, the head of the Metropolitan Criminal Police, is informed at a police station that Mad Dog was killed, and the killer is a former cop, Goro. Chief Anai goes to an abandoned warehouse with his team, where they have trapped Goro on a chair. When Goro wakes up, Anai narrates the story in front of him, talking about how his girlfriend was killed during the robbery. Anai continues that the cops had managed to secure one suspect after 5 years, but he was never charged and was released without trial. However, he was found soon afterward. Anai then says to Goro that he should put his skills to good use and go undercover in Toshokai, the mafia organization. He explains the mafia situation, telling Goro that the 5th Yakuza boss had died a couple of years ago, ensuing a never-ending war for control between the Uji family, aka the Expelled, and the Kozu family. Later, a former cop mediates the feud, and Kozu becomes the 6th boss and has created a legitimate business as a front, like a mafia, but is later taken care of by the Expelled. Toke succeeded Kozu, followed his way, and supported his overseas expansion. Toke has formed a hybrid unit of killers, aka Hell Dogs, hailing from the Kozu and Mikami families, and uses it to expand his reach abroad. Chief Anai orders Goro to pick a fight with Muro, one of the prominent members of Hell Dogs, to get his foot in the door, slowly climb the ranks, and destroy the Expelled from the inside under the guise of his new identity, Shogo Kanetaka, marking the beginning of his time in the Yakuza. The plot advances by a year, and Shogo befriends Muro and often teaches him the tactics of war. Muro's parents were part of the Veda cult and were arrested and put to death for mass murders. Together they kill a man named Jaw and his team, and then bury them in a forest by forcing some hippies to help them. After that, they return to the headquarters and interact with the gang, which shows that Shogo has ripened into a vile Yakuza and has earned the confidence of everyone, from commoners to the elites of the criminal organization. Shogo doesn't get along well with Slick, but he is treated especially well by their leader Tak, which causes Muro to be envious of him. After their successful mission of killing Mr. Jaw, Shogo attends a celebrity party with the gang members, but refuses to join them when they go to a private party after that. Instead, he goes to meet his massage therapist, Miss N, and after they start conversing, it is revealed that he uses her to convey information to Chief Anai. After delivering the message to her, Shogo asks her to share her story with him since she already knows about him. Miss N tells him that she is also an undercover agent, rooted in the bowels of the Yakuza, hoping one day she'll get her revenge on Toshokai for murdering her only son. She too, like Shogo, is living by the code of the survivor. Just then, he receives a call from Tsutomu Toki, who asks Shogo to meet him at his place in the dead of night. Shogo is hesitant, as the last time Toki contacted him at this hour, he ordered him to murder an undercover narcotics agent working for the Metropolitan Criminal Police. The man was in charge of trafficking drugs for Slick and had gone covert to the point that he had become pure evil. He was making lowlifes and mules swallow condoms full of drugs. Shogo, in order to keep his cover, had to kill the man. In reality, this was all a test carried out by Slick and his men to test Shogo's commitment to Hell Dogs. When Shogo goes to meet Toki, the man tells him that since Shogo is Helldog's biggest asset, Toki decides to move Shogo further up the ranks and orders him to shadow Toke, as someone professional has been tantalizing the decision-makers in the organization. But he's oblivious that his girlfriend, Emiri, has been having an affair with Shogo behind his back and often sneaks out when he's away to enjoy his company. Toke doesn't joke when it comes to his safety and has been making his men brutalize each other just so he can select the one who isn't frightened of death. Later, he gathers the guards from different Yakuza groups and makes them fighters wear a vest, so he could shoot them afterward to see who gets up and who doesn't. And as expected, Shogo and Muro emerge victorious and are assigned as Toke personal bodyguards. Toke is in some ways similar to Shugo. He's calm, calculated, and isolated, and he has sworn to cleanse Japan of the expelled, so the Yakuza can usher in the new era, which makes him the biggest target. And Shogo and Muro are centurions, with Toke being their Roman captain. The government and the police have been cracking down on the Yakuza and trying to bust them for anything. Shogo and Muro are Taoki's new unarmed shields, dressed in dark suits. Shogo earns Toke's trust after he incapacitates Luka, a woman sent to kill him while he is meeting Tawaraya. Toke had heard rumors that Oliver had been siding with George, the last of the expelled, and had been training Nagoya's men to display their defiance of Toke and Toshokai. Toke isn't happy and needs reliable intelligence to connect Oliver with Giroge, so he can execute them both when the time comes and coerce the Kobe family into joining him with bribes and promises for a better future. Toke plans to kill George and take Nagoya to avenge the death of his predecessor, Kozu, so he can further expand his reach in Japan. Toki and Chuji had bugged the suitcase filled with cash so that they could learn Tawaraya's true intentions. They believe that the hitwoman was acting on behalf of George, who, along with Tawaraya, has planned to take him down. And now Tawaraya has been rewarded with 300 million yen and will have no choice but to go to George, or else he'll be branded a traitor and expelled from the family. But that's only the tip of the iceberg, as the hitwoman swallowed a tracker, revealing the safe house's location, and Toke realized this a bit too late. Shogo and Muro decide to distract and halt the armed cavalry, offering Toke enough time to sneak out of the building unscathed. A battle ensues, and the duo stabs and shoots their way through the first wave. The second wave of assailants arrives, and Uncle Bear, Toke's secretary, is executed in the ensuing gunfight. Meanwhile, it becomes clear that Tawaraya has indeed been working with Giroge and has planned the entire thing. However, their plan failed, and Toke survived the attack. Tawaraya and George paid dearly for his betrayal and were slaughtered in their sleep. After Bear's death, Toke is in need of a new secretary and asks Toki to temporarily fill the position, but the latter turns him down. Left with no other option, Toke decides to promote Shogo. Toki is heartbroken over Bear's death and hits Toke for breaking the rules and going to the torture site. However, he also willingly severed his finger according to common Yakuza customs, for punishment. Meanwhile, Slick learns from one of his men that Shogo's real name is Goro Itazuki, after hearing the traffic cop refer to Shogo by his former name. Slick is later killed by Muro, who lost control after being labeled as a low-life psychopath, but he reveals before departing that Shogo is working undercover. Chief Anai pays a visit to Shogo and offers him a chance to retire and get out of this mess if he kills Toke and steals the file containing the transcripts of their conversation. Toki's girlfriend, Emiri, was on an anti-poaching task force and is also working undercover to stop the Toshokai from ivory trafficking. With all his undercover agents in place and ready, Chief Anai decides to take all three pillars of Toshokai, Chuji, Toki, and Toke out at once. Emiri decides to take care of Toki, and Miss N, after a long wait of 9 years, kills Chuji for murdering her son. But what about Toke? In reality, Toke's original name is So Koreyasu, and he was trained by the FBI before going undercover in Toshokai. The above-mentioned files are his emails and call records with the police. Toke was assigned and tasked with splitting up Toshokai and cutting off their cash flow, eventually crippling the organization. However, he came out to the Kozu trio as the FBI and cops were planning to dismantle Toshokai, earned their respect, and was anointed as the leader of Toshokai. According to him, the men in Toshokai share a bond lacking in the deceitful authorities, i.e., warm-blooded brothers over an icy government. And now he presents Shogo with the same choice, as he has already realized that Anai will surely send someone worse than him this time. He offers for Shogo to join him and conquer the world, but the latter turns him down. Shogo, unlike Toke, is a mad dog who only knows how to bite. The realms of power and possession are alien to him. A gunfight ensues, and Shogo kills Toke and steals his files, but is shot multiple times in the process. Meanwhile, Muro has kidnapped Amiri and plans to use her as bait to lure Shogo to himself, but he is killed. After Muro's death, Shogo placed the gun against his chin, ready to pull the trigger. The story that began with a mad dog was finally going to end with the death of a hell dog. However, Amiri stops Shogo before he pulls the trigger. The term mad dog alludes to Shugo's troubled years, whereas hell dog represents what he has now become, a guard for the criminal underworld. Goro was Shogo's original name before he went undercover under Anai's orders. Decades ago, Goro was a cop stationed on 2nd Street in Shinjuku. One day on the busy streets of Japan, he suspects several men of carrying weapons but is chided by his seniors for making conjectures. Nonetheless, he was right, and the men, after a couple of hours, robbed a busy supermarket, killing several innocents, including the woman he loved. The cops made a couple of arrests, but the suspects were later released. Goro blamed himself for the deaths of those victims and spent over a decade hunting and killing them one by one. He was also the one who sent money to the victims' families every month. Chief Anai gambled on Shogo, believing him to be the one who could take down Toke and Toshokai, and the latter, in the end, proved him right. Concluding our exploration of the thrilling Hell Dogs, which element of the supernatural storyline in Hell Dogs added the most excitement for you? Also, which character's supernatural abilities in Hell Dogs fascinated you the most? Your participation keeps the movie magic alive. If you relished this recap, don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up for more enchanting content. Thanks for watching.